Well, hello again, and welcome back to Cliff's Notes. We are going to be discussing the fruit of the Spirit today, and so we're going to start with the first fruit, which is love. Paul the Apostle in Galatians 5 says, "But the Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. There is no law against these things." There's no law against love. John 3:16 says, "This is how God loved the world. He gave his only Son, Jesus." The word love is the highest form of love. It's sacrificial in nature. This love gives even one's own life for the sake of another. Real love has conditions. Wow, you say, Pastor Cliff, what are you talking about? I thought God's love was unconditional. Well, let's walk through the scriptures just a little bit. In the Old Testament, God has conditions that he gives to the nation of Israel. He says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might." That's Deuteronomy 6:4, King James Version. So that commandment, it has conditions. The chapters that go forward after that commandment explain all the blessings and potential cursings by not following the conditions that God has set. The children of Israel serve as a reminder of God's conditions throughout the ages. Now, in the New Testament, there are conditions too. They don't go away by any means. And in John 14:21, Jesus says this: "Those who accept my commandments," conditions, "and obey them are the ones who love me. And because they love me, my Father will love them. And I will love them and reveal myself to each of them." Wow. Conditions. Now, you may be struggling with this concept of God's love being conditional instead of unconditional. And if you do, I would love to explain it to you. You can write in and ask a question, so I can answer it in future podcasts. But for now, let me give you another example of love, phileo, the love of friends, because I want you to see how love is developed as you practice loving. Let me say that again. Love is developed as you practice loving people, even animals, even things, But the main concept is people. Let me show you. In the book of Job, there is a man of great integrity. His name is Job. God gave Satan permission to test Job's faith by taking away everything that he had. His animals were stolen from him. His farm hands were killed. People who helped him, his sheep and all his shepherds were burned to death. His camel were stolen, and his servants were killed. His house collapsed on his children and killed them. And on top of all that, Satan was able to bring disease upon Job in his body. Now, these were terrible things, but Job remained faithful. Now, the next part is what I want to focus on, though, because it shows how love is practiced. When 3 of Job's friends came and they heard of the tragedy and the suffering, they came all the way and traveled from their homes to console Job, to be with him in the ash pit, like the refuge place of the city. Job's friends grieved with him, and they threw dust in the air to show their grief. Then they sat with him for 7 days and nights. No one said a word to him. His friends sat and they grieved with him, and they simply were with Job in his time of grief. You see, this is the love of friends, phileo, that we're talking about, and its practice. Now, we're going to stop the story right there because it gets kind of hairy. The story of love changes into them attempting to call out his sin, and it gets real. It doesn't get real bad, but it gets bad. But this first part of the story, we can see in the Old Testament, friends are practicing New Testament principles. They're applying how to love. They're showing love, and their love is developed. In 1 John, John the Apostle says this: "Dear friends, let us continue to love one another, for love comes from God. Anyone who loves is a child of God and knows God, but anyone who does not love God does not know God, for God is love." I want to also thank everybody for purchasing and writing a review on my book on Amazon. Here it is again, Christian Soul, Foundational Principles of Faith. Please pick one up. Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can go to my website and hear me read the book for free. And I'm glad people are loving it, and I'm glad people are blessed by it. It's short. It's about 81 pages, and you can sit down and read it in a couple of hours. And it's for those who are Christians, who are strong believers, and those who are maybe struggling in their faith, trying to figure out what this thing to be a follower of Christ is all about. Keep on sending in those questions, and thank you for listening to Cliff's Notes. My name is Cliff, and I'm out.